Good afternoon, friends. Welcome once again to Nitco Talks. We've again got 4 fantastic designers from all over India, and they're all in the room with me. We have Iram from Delhi. Hi, Iram. Welcome. We have Husna from Bangalore. Hi. Supraja has been having some issues. Supraja from Hyderabad has been having some issue connecting. Let's hope she's able to connect. If we could get her video, though we had her on audio, which we'll soon have her on. And there is Annkur from our very own Mumbai. Welcome to all of you. These are, as I said before, unprecedented times. Who would ever have believed that we are going to be going through a situation like this? And it feels like we're in a sci-fi movie, and we're going to step out of the movie, and everything will be everything outside the movie hall would be fine. Supraja, hi, welcome. Supraja from Hyderabad. Well, we'll get going. The first question is to Supraja. What does this situation do for women? Supraja, what does this situation do for women? You were telling me in a conversation the other day that if 1,000 women join a design school or architecture, only half of them actually start to work, and still a lot more drop off. Is there a silver lining? Is there anything that will allow women to work from home? What's the other side of it?
I'm glad you asked this question, Vivek. I completely believe that for every crisis only one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is a creative opportunity. And as a woman designer, as a woman entrepreneur, I think this opens up a whole question for women to work from home for continuous longer periods of time, or just random days. I always tell, in spite of having working for about 2.5 decades plus, when I tell my child, I always say that the single most rewarding thing in the life is being her. Nothing compares close to that. And the most difficult part was when she was young and raising her and managing your own practice. That for me was the toughest part. And I currently, our practice is an all-women practice, and I always say that if, as a woman entrepreneur, I can't take and accommodate their problems, but how will they survive in a complete man's world? So I'm hoping this will allow people on random days, or pregnancy, so many things like that, where you could do with working from home and not disconnect from your career totally. Yeah.
Anybody else would like to have something to add to what Supraja said? Iram?
Absolutely. Supraja and I had the same conversation. And actually, there was a very interesting point that Annkur brought up while we were all talking. And I think she will expand on that. I agree with Supraja that there's a lot of opportunities available now, this work from home situation makes it a little more fluid, makes it a little more easy for women to function. But for that to happen, there have to be larger changes in attitude when it comes to how men in that particular home support them, or back them up on that, because it can't be a singular effort. Annkur will focus on the fact that she was talking about the sort of infrastructure that will be needed. For example, she'll expand on that in terms of last mile connectivity or ease of transport. Security and safety issues, which have been a problem in our country, is something that needs to be addressed at a macro level. But I think within the home, the structure of the home and the structure of relationships in the home, it's also very important that men and the other family members provide that support to a woman who wants to step out, who wants to grow her career, who wants to be out there. This is a great time because so much is fluid and so much is changing, and new new things are being written now that didn't exist before. Like you said, these are unprecedented times. And I think if we can turn this into something positive and take it to be an opportunity, I think that's the way to go.
Fantastic.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Iram. Iram's like lovely. She's just adding all the thoughts so well. Like Mr. Talwar said, that yes, this is a very unique situation we are in. You know, sometimes I do not like to use negative words like crisis and all, because I feel it puts people in a panic and in a zone of fear. But it's extremely, you know, there was something very interesting that I read, that it is in times of crisis or these unique situations that it becomes the responsibility of that generation to pave the way ahead for the future. So I feel that for all of us, and I'm speaking for all my dear friends on this panel, that we all are very sensitive, very spiritually connected. I think that all of us have a very different way of thinking, and we are rooting this entire situation in a very positive direction. I think none of us in the conversation had anything negative or any feeling that was, you know, felt where we were limited, or that it was going to completely, you know, affect the entire economy and all our work ahead. Is, I think the entire shift of thought is very important here. And taking on from the fact that in order to make it extremely feasible and you know, a very cohesive way for women to work from home, we need several factors to support us. You know, so we've been obviously implementing this work from home aspect for our office and team, and we've not had 1 week wherein, unfortunately, one member of our office team has not faced Wi-Fi crisis, internet crisis, connectivity crisis. So I feel that, you know, Mr. We said is what I feel connectivity is key to allow for digital revolution. So
Annkur, your voice audio is not clear. It's not coming through clearly. Maybe
Another digital crisis, another digital problem.
I know. So what I feel is that we're really hoping. So there are two parts of running our practice, right? There is this one part which you can allow for someone who is attending to drawing 3D, attending to a part of a process which is contributing to the design aspect. And the other part is the execution, and one where it requires a lot of meetings and interactions, which requires a very hands-on and you know, which requires teamwork, which requires presence in a space where all of us can get together. So I feel that there is some part that you can allow for happening as a work from home, but in order to make it practical for the design, you know, the project to function efficiently, you need teams to be able to meet at certain intervals. And also, to work from home, you need a lot of support of connectivity in terms of internet facilities. We need greater, I think in Vodafone, some of them have issues with the towers being removed from their buildings. So
your voice is not coming through, Annkur. Your voice is not coming. There is some issue going.
Sorry, can we ask everyone else to be on mute? Then Annkur will be clearer.
Yeah, I think so.
sorry, am I better now? Hello? Yeah. So I feel that there are two parts. I'm just going to recap. There are two parts to our profession. One, which can take place at work from home because it does not require the front end interface. And that could amount to being design, it could be drawing, it could be 3Ds. And the other element which requires interface with team members and also with client interfacing and contractors and people who we deal with products and several other. That requires a lot more interaction in office. But in order to make this entire work from home a very a wonderful experience, we need a lot more better connectivity facilities which allow for digital revolution to take place. I think in the US, by the time you click a button, you are on that page instantly. So I feel that in India, sometimes we have a lot of issues with connectivity. So let's hope that we're able to digitally change our systems as well as have a lot of support from the government in terms of digital connectivity.
Annkur, now we've got Geo Fiber. If you get on to Geo Fiber, speeds are phenomenal. For instance, I've taken a speed of 1 Gbps, and we used to be 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 Mbps. So as long as Geo Fiber has come to your area, your connectivity issues are fully sorted, fully sorted.
I know, unfortunately, and the problem, Mr. Talwar, is not us only. My office survives on 2 companies providing internet connectivity. It is for the other people who are working from home. I feel that we need to ensure that each one upgrades their, that this entire spirit of connectivity is important from their aspect.
True. Thanks, Annkur. Husna, what would you say is our silver lining in what's happening?
I think that working from home is one aspect of this dialogue, but another one is what happens when we do go back to the workplace. What happens to the blurred boundary between the home and the office? And how do we perceive the future of the interior? And in that regard, I think that it's a time to reassess. It's a time to step back. And I think these 40 days have given us the ability to kind of internalize who we are and have moments of self-discovery as individuals and as a collective creed. Vivek, I cannot remember a time in living memory when the entire world has been immobilized the way we have. I mean, this is a truly historic moment for the entire universe, and nobody is insulated from it, whether you live in America or on the remotest island in the Pacific. Am I audible?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. So for me now, it's a time to take a step back and look at this in a larger sphere. And that is the sphere which calls for, I think, a certain wisdom, because no longer can we say to ourselves that when this is over, we are going to go back to our well-calibrated and rhythmic way of being. I think as individuals and professionals, we need to make choices now which are going to tilt the balance in favor of sustaining humanity. Because we have probably a vaccine 2 years down the line, but there are other problems that I see forthcoming for which there could be no vaccine. Climate change, the thing that people are talking about, which has not fallen on, receptive ears at policy level or any other, now become relevant because we are all affected by it. Unless a problem doesn't hit your doorstep, it feels like as if it's somebody else's issue. But now I think that we have to moderate our lives with choices, and our choices are not neutral. As a design community, everything we do, whether it's a choice of wood or a choice of tile or material or stone, they impact the world. And I look forward to us coming together to create a voice which is for the future. We pass the baton to the next generation, and I really look forward to a time where we dig deep into our interior, not just the physicality of the interior space, but ourselves, to tune ourselves to understanding that bigger problems lie ahead, and our choices are going to accelerate them or neutralize them.
Great. Okay, question for Iram. What happens to ongoing work what happens to work that will need to be started soon after this gets over and completed? There will be an issue of labor, there will be an issue of materials. What do you think is the way?
So actually, we've been trying to streamline processes in this time. And as a studio, we took a conscious call that we will, we all have projects at different stages. So the projects that are, let's say, at the 3/4 complete stage where, most of the work is done. What we have done is, and this is how we always work, we have a pre-order stage. So we always have things in order early on. We've been following up with all our suppliers, all our vendors. But the other thing that we've done is, let's say I have an order for lights from Spain and Italy, say floss, but they're not available. What I'm trying to do is see who has stock here and who can give me current stock, which I can then try and change my design or tweak it without losing the essence or without compromising on quality, and make sure that I prioritize the clients who will move in, say, in the next 3 months immediately post the opening. We also have, at the start of this, communicated very clearly with all our collaborators, which is all the contractors we work with. We've requested them that if there's anything we can do to help with the labor that they have, we'll be happy to do it financially. We've spoken to clients who've let them stay in their premises. We've made sure that they have water, food, that they have clean surroundings. They follow all the guidelines that the government has done. So hopefully we will address that part. There will be difficulties, but we are very positive that we are going to surmount it. We've also consciously worked with contractors who have labor on their rolls and who are not getting, the daily labor, because that's the one that's most affected. So that's one aspect. As far as sites go, site mobilization in terms of any backup drawing work, we've already used this time to do that. So we are completely clear with all our drawings. Any new projects or any projects that were in the design concept stage, we are clear with drawings. So when they do start, we don't want our clients to lose any time. I think it's been, for us, a period of learning. We've learned how to streamline processes. We've learned how to tighten our own systems of working. And we've been in constant communication with all our collaborators. Our first collaborator is always our client. Our second collaborators are the people who provide the services to the clients, like the contractors, the individual vendors, the many people that we work with. So we've been doing that. Now we come to a point that a lot of people have been talking about, which is about using local material or using imported items. We've normally always had a balance in all our sites. We use local as well as we work with local, and we have used imported items as well. We are trying to see what we can develop more and more with our local collaborators, which is not to say that we will be insular or we will be shut off, but I think at this point, we all need to see what we can do to work with our local collaborators, to work with the craftsmen that they work with. So for example, I don't know if any of you know Project 810, run by Ritima, who is this very talented designer, furniture designer, who's working with about 50 craftsmen. We're working with her to see what we can do with her, what pieces we can make with her. So that's what we've been using this time. In this time, we've actually been shortening our processes and hoping that when we open, we will be able to hit the ground running and be extremely prepared. So basically, we're prepared. Sorry for the long answer, but we're very well prepared.
When I meant local, I didn't mean Indian or imported. I meant more available in the location of the site. Suppose you're doing a work in Chandigarh, so maybe materials available in the vicinity so that things can get included faster. You could have imported materials locally available in the nearby area.
It depends from site to site. We did a hotel in Jaipur for a client. It's a boutique hotel called Tree of Life. And every single material, all the labor, the craft, everything came from within a 50-kilometer radius, because that was Rajasthan. We did another hotel for the same gentleman in Varanasi, and that was his idea, that he wanted to try and keep it as local, generate employment, use local craft. We didn't have a choice. We tried so hard. The project was actually a little delayed based on that because we were trying to see what we could use locally. We couldn't get stone locally that we could use. So sometimes it's all about what you can find. There are stages in a project. I mean, a 3/4 complete project, there's no way that we can source material from anywhere except locally. Sitting in Delhi, we have a huge advantage because we have a lot of material available to us. We have all kinds of accessibility. But I've learned this when I worked in smaller towns, that it's not the same always. And much as we would like to avoid the carbon footprint of transporting material or labor, sometimes you just don't have a choice.
Supraja, what do you say?
So yeah, I totally agree with Iram on local sourcing, and that's sort of one of our criteria for an ongoing project. We were trying to order some furniture from Delhi, which we do a lot of loose furniture. We try and do simultaneous works. And here I said, like, okay, if I order stuff, there's a whole team which needs to come for installation. So can I avoid the installation related order, or can I find simpler solution? Because I do see that this lockdown obviously will be phased out when it opens. If it does, there could be a second, third, sporadic lockdowns, openings. So we're trying to do a plan, like a 60-day plan, 90-day plan, try and finish homes which are in the pipeline, 3/4 done, or which could finish, especially the individual homes. The gated community villas, of course, are stuck with the whole community finishing on some of our projects. So local sourcing, when, like you said, local is like as to avoid even the interstate transport as much as possible, because you never know when the lockdown will be, is our first criteria for the immediate projects which are close to closure.
Husna,
Um,
how would you complete your projects quickly?
Vivek, just for a moment, having a flight of fancy, and although the path ahead is so foggy in terms of our expectations of design, it would be interesting to kind of touch upon what our future world might look like. Where residential clients are concerned, I'm already having conversations about recalibrating their requirements. And would that not be just a natural evolution, considering that we have 40 days to realize that our homes are our sanctuaries, and no longer do they entail just bedrooms and bathrooms and nice living rooms, but they need to facilitate so much more, which takes into account our mental well-being, our psychological and spiritual, as well as our ability to function efficiently from our homes, in terms of our office spaces being very well incorporated. So here's when, little nuggets of your personality start to emerge. For instance, a client will say, I've discovered gardening. Or another one might say, I never thought I could take to the kitchen. And that's me personally as well. And over the past 40 days, I'm actually enjoying stirring the pot and adding the ingredients and seeing the magic happen. And then I stand there thinking, had I designed this space about now, there would be so much more that I would add to it, because my perspective has changed. My ability to be this person has evolved more rapidly than I would ever imagine. So I think the psychological well-being of a space in a home, whether you add an area for fitness, whether you add, spaces for spiritual well-being and whatever that might be based on the script of the client. In terms of an office, definitely contactless. I'm always have been a germaphobe. So for me, touching a railing or a public space of any kind, even before this pandemic, has always been a matter of tremendous angst. So now just creating contactless pathways wherein you can enter spaces using your phone, doors will open, elevators can be used without touch, corridors, your coffee makers, your blinds. I mean, in your offices, trying to avoid the touch mechanism as much as possible. And, just creating environments which are much more in keeping with who we are going to be. And it's not the first time that an epidemic has caused for reconsideration. Paris, the beautiful city that we know, created by Haussmann, was a result of cholera. And he broke down all the medieval and now we are dealing with a whole new pandemic where people, so to speak, are the enemy, and we need to kind of find new ways ahead to create areas which allow for us to live our lives, because we are fundamentally social beings and we cannot be locked away. We cannot pretend that this is not causing all of us a sense of grieving. Each one at home must have their times wherein you think your life has been stolen from you as you know it. And we have to recover that. We have to be able to find ways in which to move forward, but to move forward with science and psychology and sensibility in place so that we do continue to function, because the show really must go on.
Ankur, over to you. You are in a city which is worst hit. We're going to be the last to recover. We are worst hit and we're going to be the last to recover. What are your plans to be able to finish projects that are ongoing?
So, like Iram said, even we are working on our systems, processes, on projects which are on the design board, which are in the design and the drawing phase. So we are working on that aspect. The ones which are on execution, the ones when they open, and we work in multi-city. So we do projects in Bangalore, in up north in Jodhpur. We've done projects in other varied cities also. So depending on which open at which phase, we shall attend to that. We also interestingly work with builders in Mumbai, and I've had a very unique situation wherein the builder project is something that we're going to sign on as we speak. We are going to start our design work on it. There was another project that had a Zoom initial, the concept meeting or the initial conversation for it. So I feel that this is a very interesting phase, and taking from what Husna said, in addition to the aesthetical quality that we add to our projects, I thought I would like to contribute 3 words to our design process, which is to make it even more functional and elastic, cultural, and the last one, artisanal. So, some projects which have cultural roots and presence to enhance that ability, but still maintaining the contemporary needs of the client. And the last being artisanal, where we want to support more artists like Iram. And ironically, even Supraja knows me since 20 years, and we were making furniture, and I've been doing that in the past, and that is something that I would like to get back to and promote. And I'm really saying this on this platform for the first time. So I feel definitely aesthetical, functional, cultural, artisanal, that's my to go to in this time. And I think all of us will definitely, as a fraternity, we've very interestingly come together. We have support from everyone. I think even, for instance, like taking from your company, Nitco, I mean, every company is coming in the forefront to ensure that all of us as a fraternity are supported where material is concerned, and everyone's willing to go that extra mile. So I feel for us as a fraternity, it is getting more united, where there's a lot of sharing of thought, and I think it's going to be a wonderful path-breaking change in design in the future.
To you again, Ankur. How do you think the interiors will get addressed in the future?
I'm sorry,
What's
Mr. Do you think?
How do you think the interiors will get addressed in the future? Will there be changes how interiors shape up?
So I feel we work on multi-scale project. One aspect is working on villas and bungalows, which are higher on scale. One is working in city homes, which are more apartment dwellings. And one is in terms of whether we're doing like a space which is a retail or or a cafe or something. So I think being multifaceted as a firm, but where homes are considered, I feel aspiration is the key for every person living, and aspiration to own a home is something that everyone is inherently working towards. I think every one of us, like Supraja always beautifully uses these words, roti kapra makan, which even I swear by. Yeah, Supraja? And
Absolutely.
and I think it was literally that. Supraja, just to this thing, even it was in my family. It was roti my mom makes. Kapra, it was my sister who's been into fashion was into fashion, and the makan was supposed to be. So it was supposed to be a very sustainable, self-supporting family in terms of professionally, and I think that the homes have to very interestingly this elastic nature which I mentioned.
Can't hear you, Ankur.
Sorry, the homes need to take over this very elastic nature, which is they need to be more plastic. They need to allow for multifunctional usability of space by several members of the family. It can. There's also this other idea that I've been toying with. I'm sorry, am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
So there's this other aspect that I've been toying with is flexibility in the way one does the interior, wherein your shell could be something which is a canvas, and the aspect of
Not very clear. There's Ankur's voice. Is it clear to all
I'm
of
sorry,
you?
I'm just going to. Does that sound much better? Hello?
It does. It
Yeah?
does.
I'm
But
sorry,
you
I'm
yeah.
probably visible, but it's
But
okay.
we can see your ceiling fan, sweetie.
Yeah.
And less of you.
So okay, so should I come this way? Maybe you could see my thing. So I feel that what needs to happen is really that the furniture literally becomes the members in the family. Imagine conceptually having furniture which can move, like the individuals who keep moving in a space. So your living space can kind of have your members of the furniture move around and create a new aesthetic. So this flexibility, you could probably juxtapose a new working table along with a space in the living and face the window. I mean, we need to come up and allow for creativity in the canvas. The same plan that we give to our client could have 3 permutations and combinations or 4 permutations and combinations as to how they could creatively use the space post we leave the project. As opposed to just having one plan and it's like you nail on this and after this is the way you kind of stamp and close. I don't know, it's just a new way. Maybe it's also stemming from the fact that in this process of working from home, I've literally moved around the table in several spots, and my mother, who loves moving her furniture around, is also kind of constantly tried to recalibrate the way the place is looking. I think this could be a newer way of thinking and a new way for people to also have flexible homes and spaces.
Supraja, what is your take on this?
So I'll talk about another angle on what's going to happen to interiors. Just being in the industry for about 2.5 decades, and of course I've known Annkur for 2 decades now. And Iram's again very special. We've gone to school together as kids, like really long back in Delhi. But yeah, so Husna again is a dear friend. So great to be this panel. So my thinking is that I've always said this, that the money you spend on lifestyle is what on your clothes, shoes, home, travel, your cars, etc., etc. Now, the short-term goals, immediate future, everybody is going to spend the maximum amount of budget of their lifestyle in their home, because even the clothes, jewelry, cars, shoes, whatever you buy, where are you going to wear and go? I know people who are just starting their car, and I know people who are frustrated that they can't even use their vehicle. So I think as interior designer, especially if you're doing residential, it's a great place to be in. Don't be disappointed. Like Annkur said in the beginning, the word crisis is not the best word, but I think there's great things in store for residential designers. I do think hospitality, retail, commercials, these kind of segments will take a short-term beating. And it'll take a while before it comes back to the new normal. This will never be exactly the same where we left it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks, 40 days ago.
In fact, it's quite exciting to know that that the future could have money not being spent on weddings, not being spent on wasteful expenditure, but on something you enjoy yourself, because we've all learned the happiness of being in a home, and to being in our home. We, all of us, never land up spending a lot of time in our own homes. And this is what we are doing now.
And I think it's beautiful that we're all finally spending so much time at home and stop running around so much.
Iram, what do you feel?
Well,
She's a
I'm
great
a homebody. Yeah, I'm a homebody. I love being home, and I've spent. I haven't felt cooped up or any of those other emotions that people are feeling, because I truly enjoy my home. With regard to this conversation, I think the kind of practice that we all have, our practice is about emotional design, which started off as something that was used to design products which evoked a certain feeling. But I think emotional design has also been hugely spatial. And I think home is all about comfort. One of my favorite artists, who we just lost recently, 2 days back, Zarina Hashmi, has only worked on the theme of home and said very evocatively that my home is my universe, and I make my home wherever I go. And that's something that I've seen across my career whenever I've worked with people on their homes. It is such a huge comfort to them. It depends, it brings them joy, it brings them security, it brings them comfort. And in today's day and age, when there is so much uncertainty, there's a lot of movement where people don't have shelter. I think the significance of shelter is going to be important. I'm not sure that I personally want homes where you don't touch anything, because I'm terribly tactile. I like all senses involved, including touch. I like a fragrant home, a home that smells of food in the morning and baking in the evening, and a beautiful candle to accompany the glass of wine in the evening, filled with laughter, filled with people. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing all these people and you guys, and having you home. That's always my idea of home is warm, comfort, security, emotions. It's all tied in. And I think Supraja is bang on when she says that isn't going anywhere, because people will look for that even more now. The other point that I just want to throw out there is, why are we thinking that this is insurmountable? I am completely convinced that we haven't reached 2020 by not beating the odds. And I think as people, as mankind, we will be positive, we will have a cure, we will not have social distancing for the rest of our lives. I think we will have that comfort. As far as retail goes, Soups, the story that I was telling you, where when Gonza opened, Hermes recorded the largest sale in the history of Hermes. In one day, they spent $2.3 million in one Hermes store. So for the moment, I think retail will move to something like digital, but I think people will still shop, because, again, don't forget the term retail therapy. We are all, as people, the same. We seek comfort in whatever we find. I'm nervous about the fact that I can't buy books. That's been my only trauma. The day I run out of those books that I am reading, I will be traumatized, and I don't read on a Kindle, like I need a physical book. My retail therapy will be, at the minute it opens, I will go online and I will order about 20 books to feel my Charlie's blanket, my security blanket is there, my Charlie Brown's blanket. So I think we need to remember that we're human beings. We function in a particular way. Let's tweak it for the better. Let's make it positive. Let's look at everything thoughtfully, considerate of others, but we're not losing this one. That I'm very certain of.
Husna.
I think that the fundamental of our world is the humanity, being human, and coming together to create these exquisite conversations that we are having today and we will continue to have about the resilience of us to see ourselves through. And in our homes, we are different beings, and now we are more than we can possibly imagine. Our universe is right here. This is where we reside. It's brought in a simplicity, and I think we've gone back in time to our almost cave person roots, which is a really great thing. And we are able to express ourselves in more ways. I think the layers within us are starting to be revealed. The chaos of our previous lives gave us just a certain amount of time, probably less than we needed, to delve deep in. And now we're able to, I think, uncover so many facets. I'm seeing layers of myself, whether it's looking at the stars and wondering what lies beyond and wanting to buy a telescope to see it clearly, or watching the birds and realizing that I now know certain names and I'm actually watching the direction in which they fly. So the elements around us are becoming so paramount because that really feeds into the inner core. When I talked about contactless pathways, I was talking about the world beyond the home, the world in which we will still have to exist and function and do so in a very healthy and a very, I think, safe way. So I think touch is that thing which we cannot afford to ignore because that's where the contagion lies. So to be able to go back into my office, I'm not going to feel comfortable being able to bring home to my 7-year-old things which I know are lying on surfaces. So for that, I will use the technology which empowers me to feel comfortable and safe and still continue to bond with the people I miss so much. Ours is a very collaborative profession. To be able to look into somebody's eyes when you speak, or to pick up a pencil. We talk about technology and being able to use smart computers and higher resolutions. And while that is one aspect, let's not undermine the power of paper and pencil and doing a sketch right on with someone and having that beautiful ballet of thought between two individuals working on an idea. And then feeling that true magic, that absolute spring of consciousness that awakens when you feel that something has arrived from within you that you did not expect and you're a conduit for something magical. So I want to go out there and I want to create an environment that we can do so in a way that we can reclaim vestiges of our previous life and continue to feel while we do it as human and safe as possible. So it's a script that we have to write, and I know we will, because we as individuals enjoy our lives too much, and we will continue to embrace and evolve until we have the rhythm back wherein the music sounds within our hearts. So it's a positive time to rethink, redefine, and reshape things for the positive, not just in the workplace and in the home, but right now I truly believe that the universe needs us. And this is a calling. It's a wake-up call for everyone to say, it's not just this pandemic, but a lot more down the road. And we need to regroup for that in earnest, because the next time we won't have time to think, and we need to be better prepared.
Husna, how do you rethink the utopian world through the lens of the last 40 days, of these 40 days?
There's been time that we've never had before. Meditative time, to sit quietly. Well, I can't always say that. I have a 7-year-old who keeps me feeling like I'm 7, which is also not a bad thing. But definitely time to say, these are things that are important to you. Do we really need the excess? The next time going into a project, I might actually say, let's cut down the fat. Let's do this in a way that's extremely creative and effective. But do we really need, question mark, the things that we would very easily go to earlier? So I think that aspect of being the hermit architect has to kind of become part of us, not just for a project or a time, but for ever. Really, we need to kind of rethink who we are and what we want to be. And I think conscience becomes a very important part of that. Our mental makeup and our ability to fulfill our dreams is very important. And that's what's hurting us back home, our sense of purposelessness. We may love our homes and we may enjoy everything we do from morning to evening, but this is not who we are really meant to be. People like us also want to go out there and continue that process of fulfilling our dreams in a way that we've always known as being the most energized and effective way to do it. So I want to be back there and use this time to kind of go back there, but with stronger tools and a better script. And definitely a heart full of sensitivity for the world around us, because depletion cannot happen anymore. You know, Vivek, it's while watching a lot of shows and reading with little Ayan, that every day we deplete the equivalent, a minute, we deplete an equivalent of 20 football fields of rainforest. And that's wherein 80% of our medicinal and our solutions for disease have been found. Penicillin is from fungus. And also, you know, the cancer cures, 80% of them come from there. So we're actually depleting what it is that sustains us. And I'm going to definitely be thinking more earnestly going forward about the wonder of this universe, because it will go on without us. We are vulnerable, so we need to change our game plan. And the 40 days has been a game changer for me in terms of rethinking how this is going to happen for a sustained period.
Iram, would you like to take that as well?
I think we're all thoughtful, sentient human beings, and we're all living thoughtfully. I think we're in a unique position of privilege. So whatever I say in all seriousness, I think we're all extremely privileged, and I don't know how far I am walking in the shoes of somebody who isn't. I do want to think about it when it comes to these 40 days, and that's what I've been thinking about. I'm more concerned about how we equalize, how we democratize the rather it's a terrible word, so I'm not going to use it, but the rather unfair distribution of wealth. And I think I would hope that some of us will work also on policies to improve the lives of the others that we work with every day, each day, in and out, the ones who don't have access to every single thing we have, whether it's a roof over our heads or food to eat or no shortage of anything. So for me, the last 40 days has really been more about that than anything else. We're continuing to work, Vivek. We've got work, we've got a home, we've got all the privilege, but there are people who have nothing. And that, I think, is the focus that I want to take away for the next 40 days. I hope that we work together, come together as an industry, and I know that there's work being done to do something not just today and not just about food packets and donations, but in the future. Policies about raising minimum wage, policies about site conditions, policies about basic things that we can do to hope that this never happens again. Because honestly, we haven't borne the brunt of this. The brunt of this has been borne by the people who've been on the road, who walked from Delhi to Madhya Pradesh. I mean, that for me is my 40 days. Honestly, 40, 45, 50, whatever it is, that is going to be my focus. The rest is all easier for me because I am immensely privileged and so grateful. I wake up with gratitude, but I want to extend that gratitude and I want to be able to do something about it. So that's my approach.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Thank you.
Supraja?
So I think for me, this 40 days, of course, I've actually, Vivek, interestingly, it's like life prepared me for this. I've been wanting this. It was my birthday just a week, 2 weeks before this happened. And all I tried to do was gift myself time. And I was home, it was on a Sunday. And in fact, I was hanging out with my friends in Bombay. When I tried to come back home, I spent just Sunday, Monday, Tuesday not going. I didn't want to step into a car. I didn't want friends over. I did nothing. So for me, this is exactly, and just 2-3 weeks before that, I had started going late to office. I was eating at 10:30 in the morning and then come back and eat at the evening. So as if, the universe prepared me for this. So unlike my friends, Annkur and Iram, I haven't been working so hard. I haven't been looking at our processes, systems. I've been really having a very, very chilled out time. Because I know when I get back to work, I'll get back to work for long. So I'm hoping to. So, but I've really been on this thing for a few years, and I've said it and friends who've heard it, that as a human race, we've been in a mass suicidal kind of a path. And I keep saying that the history will look back at us and say that what was this generation thinking? What were they doing? Because when we look back at World War II, we look back at so many things and saying, what were they doing? Why couldn't they sort it out? So I think layer by layer, we've complicated our lives. And for me, in these 40 days, I'm very, very sure that I am for sure not going to complicate my life. And I will look many more than one way I have sorted out how I'm going to simplify my life. And I do believe we solo travelers. I don't feel the need any longer to be just meeting a lot of people all the time. I was not such a homebody earlier, but that's been my recent phase. I mean, more than 40 days, of course. I just think life is beautiful, and my trip to Earth, it's not going to be wasted in a built environment. Even though I'm an interior designer, my favorite space has been in Hyderabad, the boulders, the trees. So yeah, it's just gives me much more appreciation that we can't go out there, which was the most important part of our journey.
Annkur, you will have to unmute. Yes.
So I feel, I guess we all are, this entire 40 days or this entire lockdown has come to reflect, introspect, and to really, to me, the real thing that I have been really, asking everyone, whether it's in these conversations, is all about what is that one change that we all, each individual wants to make in their life so that it can translate to action. My concern being that obviously we all pen down a lot of things and everyone has realizations. There has to be some way we're able to translate it into action. And I think that's what always is a challenge, because we have so many debates, conversations, and discussions. And then sometimes someone feels that, that how much of it really translates into action. So I feel that each one of us should probably just work on that one element that we really want to make the change in and translate it to action. So for myself, that's what I have kind of come down to, those 2-3 changes as to the way that we would like to work and to the way that we'd like to live life and how we'd like to save the planet. And like Husna said, I think the global warming and the earth genuinely requires us to be sensitive, and each one of us should come our way to make the change to the planet. And not taking away from Iram's way also, but I think that all of us are meaning, all of us have the same intent. It's the way and the route to reach the end result and the goal, which is different. So I think each one of us just picks on the one route that we wish to make the change in society and in humanity and in the nation, and work tirelessly towards it. So I think that in brief, I would say I completely agree with all of the rest of the panelists. I think everyone has so beautifully expressed their thoughts. And my
Answer you too well, Annkur.
to make the action. My real change is to make the action. The change that I want to be has to be in action.
Thank you. Now we have questions, but I don't think we have time to take all of them. We'll take a few questions. Anika?
Vivek Gupta wants to ask a question. Rahul, can you let him into the room, please? Uncle, you can unmute yourself and ask.
Hi, this is heavy dose of last 40 days, all the girls. What I wanted to ask you, in last 40 days, which part of your home has given you the greatest pleasure? And don't give me those intangible aspects of that. I want tangible. Please articulate what is the reason why you found that part of the home to be the most comforting, most beautiful. And if we can have a look of that part of your house, that'll be great.
Who'll go first?
Me. Vivek,
Yep.
yeah, because I've invited you home only 1,000 times, and since you've never deigned to come home, you don't get to see my home on. Okay, so you see my face. You don't get to see my home.
No, but
I
you need to tell us. You've given heavy dose of last 40 days, man. I don't know. I'm scared of the last 40 days. It feels as if
I've never been scared. I
you
keep
spend
telling
last
you.
40 days contemplating. I don't know how you'll change the world. Simple.
What rubbish! I've also done other things. You and I have spoken about this. This is not fair. This is a really private conversation that now we're thrashing out in public. That we're both happy people. Everyone knows. Soups knows. We've done funny things. I've played Antakshari.
Which part of each one's home has?
Okay,
I think Husna is moving to show that part of the house.
Yeah, I am.
See,
I would like to see whether it was the light in the veranda or it was something that transformed as a transformational space. Don't give me books and this. Enough of that now.
Okay.
You said that was for public consumption.
Can I show you my art that gave me joy? Because that's where I was. I showed you where I was. I'm actually showing.
And nobody is to show the husband because that certainly has never been the reason of pleasure.
Okay. Well, you said part of the house. You didn't say who in the house. So
Yes, Supraja. Just let's see that now. I think Husna is the only one who's moved.
Okay.
Yes, Iram.
who's going next?
Me, I'm showing him. He's not listening.
This is the sofa and this is the painting that you've
wait,
seen.
yeah, now this is complicated.
Move.
I don't know how to flip this.
So there is Samir, help.
Yeah, now you don't want to see him. Sunny,
Because there's been too much of heavy talk. I'm suddenly feeling that I'm
there
in
are lots
some...
of youngsters who asked questions. We need to make sure we answer them.
yeah.
Supraja,
I'm
come
showing
on.
you everything that makes me
Beautiful. Lovely. So which corner did make you the happiest and why?
Where I was sitting, I love sitting on the floor.
Okay.
Remove that black thing.
My feet.
The stand.
My incredible husband makes me a
No.
great drink.
Speaking.
I listen to
And
music,
remove those cloths from that corner.
I read. So yeah, this is
The
my
cloths from the corner on the bench.
Iram, Shantanu was asking you to say from the bar.
What did you say? What did you say? I was just talking about the drink in the evening, Annkur.
Shantanu has already got his eyes on the bar. Okay,
Because they all know me.
he's transporting us to a different world. Please take us.
Husna is
Wonderful.
not very clear.
Who's number 2 now? Who's showing the other place? Okay, Husna.
Husna is
Yes.
showing.
Yes.
Husna's showing
Annkur.
how it feels to be 7.
Uncle,
Oh, okay. Hi, such a cutie.
Say hi to Annkur, Supraja, Iram, Vivek.
And every,
Hi.
lots of
So
people who are
cute.
listening
Yes.
to us.
I love that.
And we have this bench that we sit on
All right.
here.
Mhm.
And you can see that we get a great view. We have a beautiful cemetery right opposite.
Wow. Hmm.
So it's very green. And this beautiful mango tree and this upper terrace here.
Mhm.
So there's a
So
lot
what
of
does it
green.
face?
We're fortunate to have that.
So are you able to sit through the day here?
It's very,
I am, yeah.
we come in at about 5
I
o'clock.
have lots
And
of light.
yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Uncle?
Very philosophically, we have this cemetery.
Oh. So
Very
the fact of life.
non-philosophically, we have the bar.
To tell you, it's well, rest while you live, rest while you don't.
Yes. Thanks, Husna. Ankur,
So
are you
this
going
is
next?
my favorite, Vivek. This is my
Yes,
favorite
Supraja.
spot. It's indoor in my garden, and I'm struggling to show you with my laptop.
No, I can see
Yeah,
a
it's
little
a
bit.
problem.
I see more of,
This is
yeah,
where
nice.
we love to sit down, and I have some. My garden is my favorite. It's too much light now, but yeah, we eat outside. We literally between the ground floor garden and the first floor balcony, we literally living with a lot of light and air. And fortunately, even though it's summer, we've had some rains and some, beautiful breeze. So my favorite spot is is outdoor. I'm sitting inside for the call only to cut noise. But yeah, otherwise I've left that. Yeah, and these are from my garden. My favorite is gardening, sitting in the outdoors. Ankur.
Okay, guys, we'll take one more
I
question.
think let's move to questions, right?
Yeah, I think, I think let's get to the next.
Yes.
The next and probably the last question before.
We have a question from Shobhan Kothari. Design is about patronage, creation, and construction. All three will be finding a new normal, but which domain is going to be the most challenged?
Patronage? What are the three words?
Patronage, creation, and construction. All three will be finding a new normal, but which domain is going to be the most challenged?
According to me, construction. Because of logistics, because of how people have been affected. For all those reasons, I don't think patronage is going to be as affected, and creativity is certainly not affected. I hope that we will come out stronger and design better and learn from this. But I think construction will need a little work.
Totally with Iram on this. Patronage, I very much doubt it will be questioned at all. Neither will creativity be. It's only the challenge of construction. Anika, take questions from a lot of, I can see someone called Jay asking for questions, saying, take my question.
We would ask Jay's next question.
Can I make a suggestion? If there's anybody who has specific questions for us and we run out of time, they can happily send them to you and we'll answer them on WhatsApp or via email.
Yes. We'll
Thank you.
Jay's question is something on projects finishing.
I will just read out Jay's question. I wanted to ask that many a times when the project is about to complete, mostly I feel every client becomes impatient. Hope this is common. And not only the client side, it becomes difficult to wait, but our team who are in the project from the beginning becomes little attached to it and generates anxiety while handover. So I wanted to ask opinions of all of you, if there is any way it can be done in a calmer way from both sides.
I can take this.
Please.
Should I?
Ankur,
Go ahead, Supraja.
Ankur hasn't
Sorry,
spoken.
I was reading No, you answer. I was just reading the other question also.
There are quite a few questions actually directed to Ankur also. I can read that one more.
So I'll take this to give Ankur her question.
Okay.
So what I tell my clients is, for all of us working on this project, whether it's me, the designer, or the contractor or other consultant, for all of us, it's a project. For you, it's your home. So you are the one who's supposed to have maximum patience and keep calm to finish the project. If you pressurize too much for everybody else, and people should never work that it's a project I need to get done. I always tell my workers should work, ये मैडम के लिए अच्छा घर बनाना है, ये सब के लिए अच्छा घर बनाना है, not ये कब खत्म होगा और मैं कब पैसे लेके जाऊँ. The minute I explain this point of view to my clients, they're very convinced, and they learn that it's their home. They need to have maximum patience, and that works very well for me.
Thank you, Supraja.
Anika, one last question for.
Excitement is an emotion, and anxiety is a different emotion. So focus on the excitement and build on that so that the client enjoys the process of doing the project and the post entering. Do not focus on the anxiety as an emotion. So bring out the excitement in the client and not the anxiety.
Thank you, Ankur. Okay, so this question is directed to you. Ankur, are we talking about modular furniture which is trending in the compact houses for multiple usage? But would this same mentality go for higher end houses? And what about offices?
So when I mean flexibility of furniture and spaces, like I said, there are different genres of doing interior. If we come down to apartment living, it could mean that your space and your shell allows for changes in furniture placement. It could allow for furniture which is multi-usable. Modular, modular means a lot more knockdown, right? The fact that you can, bring it down and move it somewhere else. I'm really talking a lot about flexibility of functionality, flexibility in the furniture way of doing it. Some element could be where, the same piece of furniture can work as a table. It could, very well work as a side table when the height moves down, or you could layer, I think also design wise, you could layer something in a very unique way and make it work differently. I don't think that there are examples to mention about it right away, but when we kind of design and explore it, I think I'll be able to talk more about it. But
Yeah,
this is
I think
something
that's interesting.
yeah, but this is something, we really need to look at. I feel that we become very rigid in our process. There is that sofa, there is a side table, there has to be a new way of doing it.
Yeah.
And why don't we very smartly, with the least number of, like Husna, if we have to be sustainable about it also, be very crisp about the number of items that you need. But that same item works and does the work of many. Even that could be a new way of looking. Because we have to be even smart and sustainable in the future. And I think it all stems with educating your client and also educating yourself about technology, methods, systems, material. I think that all this will first start with my own personal ability to up my skills and my knowledge, and then to transmit it to the client through making them aware about all these things. I hope I've answered this question, and if I've not, then you could WhatsApp it to me and we could attend to it at a chat, like how Iram suggested.
Thank you, Annkur. We'll just take one last question. This is more general advice for all interns. We have quite a few interns asking if you all have any advice on what books they can read or videos they can watch during this lockdown. Also, something not too expensive, cost effective. So if you all have, anyone has any advice, please share.
Should anyone wants to say? I think that attend a lot of these webinars, and that is absolutely free. I think we are extremely blessed in an environment where we have several Instagram live webinars, a lot of knowledge available on the internet. In fact, I must share with you that I attended a Instagram live of Mary and who is a very established firm in Shanghai, and to share that Shanghai has already opened their office. If you see the Instagram post, it's already showing how they are working in their office at the current moment. And he shared the most insightful way of how his daughter, whom he brought down to Harvard, contracted COVID, and how the entire family, which was Neri and Rosanna, who was separated and were made to live in a hotel for 15 days. And that he realized that in the process of cooking, he went and cooked in a toilet. And he said, for the first time, I realized how a toilet can function completely for a different purpose, and how, what I'm saying is, I am not proposing that as an idea, but I'm saying that the situation that someone who was surmounting this entire instance in their family, I think a lot of us have still not, we're not realizing that this is something which is a very serious and situation, and we need to ensure health-wise how do we attend to it. So coming back to the design way, I mean, listen to how the other ways. So this designer shared that it is from ideally it starts with an epidemic, it moves to pandemic, and now the stage is endemic, which is it all begins from within. And I thought that was a brilliant takeaway. What are we learning from it? How are we going to change ourselves? What is that one change that we're going to make in our lives to change society is something that we should focus on. And what he said was that once everything opens, I think that he said it is going to be different and it's going to be difficult. So the entire reality that is changing when you're stepping into your office. And so he said that that is something that first as human beings we need to address.
Yeah.
So I feel that this entire thought and intent that we need to really polish our spirit, polish the mirror which is in our mind and heart, to be able to, fight the entire
Traverse the new
situation.
world.
Yes,
Yeah.
fight the entire situation and come out of it transmitting hope. And, we have to transmit hope and happiness in this entire society. And, there was another gentleman who said in one of these other webinars that we are, as architects and interiors, building dreams. And if we don't harbor these dreams, how are we going to pass on these dreams to the rest of the world?
Yeah.
So please dream on and transmit your dreams to the people ahead. Sorry, thank you. So please,
Thanks.
use these methods to connect to knowledge and to connect to what people have to say in different parts of the world. Because you have probably a Marcel Wonder sitting in some other part of Europe sharing some advice. You have someone whom, Martin, whom I heard in Spain, who is sharing some other part of advice. You have Neri and who sitting in Shanghai. You can listen to the world. The world is in your phone right now. And surely, and do tune into Nitco Talks also, right, Mr. Talwar?
But Nitco is not doing the talking, you guys are.
No, but the Nitco Talks, you're bringing us all together.
Yeah.
We have Mr. Talwar as our new, the master quiz master. We have only there's no KBC part to it. But anyways,
Yeah.
I have a little advice to people who are asking what to do for design interns. My suggestion would be, besides learning on design, please invest on yourself. For your, I've always said the important things are your physical well-being, emotional well-being, mental well-being, and financial well-being. These are 4 things. No matter what, wherever you are, you have to look after it yourself. So, yeah, at whatever age, whatever stage you are, look around and talk to people and get some help in all these areas and invest on yourself. Be a more composed, more calmer person. Then whatever the situation will be, you will be able to find a solution. My favorite is healing, meditation, lots of music. Yeah.
Okay, guys, thank you so much. It was fantastic. I think everybody loved the conversation, especially when Vivek came and disrupted us a bit.
Yeah, Vivek disrupted Vivek's conversation.
Big bosses.
Yeah. So, see you guys soon. And we'll be in
Thank you
touch.
so much.
Thank you,
for having
Vivek.
us, and thank you to everyone who came.
Ankur, Iram, Husna.
Thank you.
guys.
It's so nice to be
And
with you all.
Iram's birthday this Sunday, guys. So wish her in ahead.